right, welcome into the latest edition of the Second Half Draft Show. I am your host, Juice, joined by Headley and Drew. We got football at every level going. We got the high school going. Of course, college football started a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, the NFL season got kicked off last night. So we are full throttle football. It's the best time of year. And, of course, we have the Second Half Draft Show here, brought to you by Couch Potato General Manager, bringing you year-round coverage for the NFL draft. At the end of the day, what we're doing here is evaluating prospects for the next level. But, of course, there's going to be a lot of college football discussion. Some NFL discussion will trickle in, particularly when draft season starts. So stick with us, ride with us here at Couch Potato General Manager. Again, the Second Half Draft Show, brought to you by CPGM. All right, gentlemen, a lot to get to in this show, so I won't belabor the point anymore. I do want to start with where we left off last week. And of course, the big conversation, the game of the week was Florida State and LSU, two top 10 ranked teams. It was very close for a half. And then in the second half, Florida State asserted themselves and pulled away. So, Drew, what were your lasting impressions from that particular contest?
Florida State, the better team, bro.
I'd say so.
Yeah, them boys, the better team. Norvell did a good job. They kept talking about it consistently through the broadcast in terms of the transfers that those guys had brought in, and none other than Coleman showed up and showed out. And I think he might be the difference maker on that offense that may separate Florida State from the rest of the ACC, to be honest with you, and kind of catapult them boys into, obviously barring injury, catapult them boys into the national title. Because I was looking at that, watching them guys, and I'm like, I know they got Johnny Wilson out there doing his thing, but they were just kind of missing that spark, that difference maker, that guy that can churn a 7-yard route into a 30-yard gain or even a touchdown in some cases, right? So it's a guy who was going up and attacking the football, and he was doing that all day. Didn't matter the corner safety that was on him. He was making plays. Jordan Travis, he was the better quarterback. And to be honest with you, I think LSU, I think they're lacking. You know what they're lacking, bro? I didn't see him out there, bro. So let me know who he is and what side of the ball he plays for. But where is number 7, bro? Whoever that is for LSU. That's the special number, isn't it? It's supposed to be 7 and 14. I haven't done the 14 thing in a minute since your boy Jacob Hester. But where is number 7, bro? Where is he? Where is that guy, bro? He's supposed to be special, and he wasn't out there, bro. So I think they lack some more offensive weapons. Malik Neighbors, he looked like base form, bro. It was base form Malik Neighbors, bro. That's what I saw there, bro. That's what I saw for the anime fans, for the Dragon Ball Z fans out there.
Man,
that's what I saw. It wasn't where was he at? I needed you in stage 2, stage 3.
That's the Saiyan arc.
Yeah, the Saiyan arc. We go with that. Yeah, I mean, where you at, bro? Because it was a Saiyan arc. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, it wasn't like you said. They kept it close, and then I guess talent started to shine, and FSU took off, man.
What about you, Heather? Your lasting impressions. Obviously, you're our resident FSU fan. D-Kid indicated that D-Kid is full bore, man. You know what I'm saying? I know you have to be encouraged. I know you're encouraged by the performance, but what were your thoughts as you kind of worked through it all?
Yeah, I know. I'll say it, D-Kid. FSU is for real. To me, that they're the top of the ACC right now. Like Drew said, Keon Coleman makes a big difference. He's kind of got the guy that we were missing last year, a guy that could attack the ball at the highest point. After the catchability, like you say, turn 7 to 6. It's just incredible what he did. 3 touchdowns. So, I thought he was a big factor for the Seminoles. Also, fourth down, that first drive where LSU went down the field and they had 6 chances inside the 5-yard line, and they couldn't convert. FSU came up big because LSU kind of lived in the first half. They lived on Florida State side of the field the whole first half, but FSU just made timely stops on fourth down. And then the second half, I thought Norvell did an excellent job of adjusting. He put Jaheim Bell in the backfield, got an extra blocker there, get a little bit of that run game going in the second half. I thought that was big. Also, Florida State 8 for 13 on third downs. So They couldn't be stopped on third downs. They showed up on fourth downs on the defensive side of the football. And then the adjustment putting Jaheim Bell in that backfield. And they kind of took over in the third quarter. Once they made those adjustments, they took over and it was over, man. It was a blowout after that. So, I liked how Jordan Travis played. I do think he played better than Jaden Daniels. He made one mistake and almost made another mistake, 2 interceptions, Jordan Travis, but he kind of calmed down a little bit and, he took over and he found those weapons, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman. Run game got it going a little bit better in the second half. And, I thought that was it right there for Florida State.
It was definitely a tale of two halves from my perspective, right? So both teams had some miscues. Quarterbacks were inaccurate or made some bad decisions. Sometimes they got away with it. Sometimes they didn't. You saw flashes from some of the team's better players at times. Of course, LSU wasn't necessarily at full throttle, but I don't think it would have mattered. I'm not sure that it would have mattered considering how LSU just seemed unprepared. They didn't seem like the coaches got the players ready to show up for such a big game. And that certainly wasn't the case for FSU. FSU, as you mentioned, Mike Norvell, he outcoached Brian Kelly. And as D-Kid said, Brian Kelly's a fraud. Drew, you've mentioned it before. Kelly historically has done a good job recruiting wherever he's been, a pretty solid job in most stops along the way. But he hasn't necessarily gotten his players to the next level. He doesn't always get the most out of his players. So that doesn't seem to be the case with Mike Norvell. So that certainly is a feather in his cap. And of course, like I said, from one half to the next, it was night and day. FSU did a 180. They were dominant. They were more precise. They were more physical. We go back to the conversation regarding coaching, the adjustments that Mike Norvell and FSU made in the second half certainly went a long way in terms of taking over the game. And of course, LSU never adjusted. There were times where LSU was rushing 3 and you got 8 guys in coverage and you still got Keon Coleman who's torching you in man-to-man, getting behind your defensive backs. How does that happen when you have 8 guys in coverage? That should not happen. You understand what I'm saying? And then, of course, Harold Perkins, all-world pass rusher, true sophomore, only rushed the passer, Jordan Travis, that is, on 8 pass attempts. Otherwise, he was playing off-the-ball linebacker. So clearly, LSU didn't put their players in position to be successful. And then, of course, their players did not execute in terms of what they were asked to do. So all around, it was bad. It was bad from LSU. I think they're a better football team as far as the talent is concerned, based on what they showed. But as far as, putting it all together, coaching 4 quarters of football, they have work to do. Last year, of course, they got better as the season progressed. That wouldn't surprise me if that occurs. But, yeah, the way they came out, as flat as they came out, I thought there were some opportunities just to get some points. Get some points. You're playing a good football team. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of football to be played. I think we talk about momentum. We talk about confidence. We talk about all these different intangibles that make an impact. We often talk about, the metrics and the skills and how they translate to the next level. But certainly we're talking about human beings as well. So when you let the air out of your sails because you put together a 12-play drive and come away with nothing, you understand what I'm saying? If that happens a couple of times, it takes effect. And then, of course, as FSU started to get it rolling, Jordan Travis, as you mentioned, Headley settled in. They completely took that game over. So certainly going to be a lot of conversation about Keon Coleman moving forward. I believe Dane Brugler actually had him in the first round. We will likely see a lot of Keon Coleman in the first round from here on out as far as mocks are concerned. Headley, are you ready to put him in the first round?
Yeah, you got to put him there right now. The size, the speed, the ability to track the ball, get the ball at the highest points, break tackles after the catch. He possesses everything you want from a first-round wide receiver with size, speed, physicality. So, yeah, you got to put him in the first round right now.
I real quick, let me just say this. I think when you look at the 2 quarterbacks, and I've talked about this in the offseason in terms of the type of quarterbacks that are going to be available this upcoming draft, assuming everybody comes out. Almost all of them, if I could think just off the top of my head, at least the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks, the boys are athletic and they can run. Okay, you have Jaden Daniels, who's if you give him too many, you give him too much space, he's going to take off and run, and it might be a touchdown because that boy got speed. Then you got Jordan Travis, who's not necessarily have the speed that Daniels has, but he's slippery when wet, right? He's a little bit harder to take down than you realize, right? But FSU didn't play scared on defense, right? They didn't take Jared Verse and say, hey, you're going to spy the quarterback. We're going to do what we do, which is we're going to rush the passer with our 4. We might throw a blitz in there. Meanwhile, LSU is doing kind of the complete opposite. We're going to take our best player. We're going to have him spy the quarterback, and then we're going to rush 3 here and play a game instead of just playing your game, right? It's silly. It was silly.
Yeah,
the whole thing was silly. Yeah, they got cute, man. And you know what happens when you get cute, bro.
And the last thought on this is I'm watching LSU's offense, and of course, you know, the tackles. We talked about the offensive line, whether or not they would take that step. They were a young group last year, still relatively young, but we expect them to be better. I did not see market improvement. They still struggle to keep Jaden Daniels upright. The play calling, it looked so much like 2022 to me, right? And I get it. It's week one. It's week one. You know, you probably don't have your full install, but with a veteran quarterback like Jaden Daniels being his second year in the system, I would have expected LSU to open it up. And as you mentioned, they were too conservative on either side of the football. They did not open it up. They got cute, and FSU punched them in the mouth. That's ultimately what happened in this one. A couple other few. I mean, I'm gonna call it a few other storylines coming out of the past week in college football that led to a 5-pack of questions. So I do want to get these questions. Certainly, our audience, feel free to chime in the comment section. Headley, Drew, I'll start with you on this one, Headley. UNC comes out. They were pretty impressive against South Carolina. Is UNC the best team in the Carolinas? And can they win the ACC?
When you say Carolina, what are we talking? South Carolina?
Carolinas. North Carolina and South Carolina.
Across the board.
Duke, Clemson, everybody. All those ACC teams and any SEC teams that might fall into the Carolinas.
Carolinas. Yeah, I will go out there and say yes. And it's not because of what I saw from Drake May. You know, Drake May was excellent. The offense did its thing. You know, they don't have that receiver. They didn't say he's ineligible to come back. Tez Walker.
Trash, bro.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But
NCAA, you know how that goes.
Yeah, you know, but I like what they have in the trenches, even the offensive line. But what I saw from North Carolina's defensive line, because they already had those linebackers, Cedric Gray, Power Eccles, but the defensive line, Rucker. Let me get these names for you right here, man. Kamen Rucker, 5.5 tackles for losses. We're going to talk about him soon, 2 sacks, but it wasn't just him. It was some other guys out there. Miles Murphy, number 8, Desmond Evans, number 10. Those guys are getting after it on the defensive line with those linebackers, and the offense looks, you know, it's a new system. It looks a little bit better to me, and the offensive line looks a little bit improved. I would say, yeah, Carolina's probably the best team in the Carolinas. I know you got Duke over there, had a big win against Clemson. But I'm going to go with North Carolina. They have the quarterback play and then the trenches, the offense and the defensive line.
What are your thoughts on that, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, Helly, he said what I was going to say, bro. The defense is why that was the big ISO. Well, the big ISO last year was the offensive line, right? Yeah. And then it was the defense, and it's the style of defense that they were playing, right? Putting your linebackers in and not favorable positions. I think this year it stated during the broadcast that them boys looking to blitz. They're looking to be looking to be more aggressive. Right, and they're attacking. And I think it matches those linebackers in terms of what they did, because Eccles and Grace, especially Gray, made play after play. Them boys coming downhill, let them do their thing, man. Don't let them sit back and have to get reached and have to diagnose. Nah, just let's get them downhill and let's go, man. Because that defensive line, it was serious, man. And South Carolina, they was looking like North Carolina last year with the O-line. It was bad, bro. It was bad. And I think
absolutely, DK.
I think Rattler played a good game, by the way, to be honest with you. I think he played a good game.
No, I think in totality, Rattler did play pretty good in totality. We're going to keep an eye on him because, you know, he's an intriguing prospect. Yep. DK mentioned Mac Brown, G and Chizik coaching matters. Absolutely. Yep. There's no question about that. Yep. No question about that. So you guys alluded to Duke. Of course, Clemson with an ugly loss in week 1. The offense just could not finish drives, which begs the question, Drew. Which begs the question, is Clemson's dynasty officially over?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I want to say yes, but I'm going to say no.
You want to say yes. I know you want to say yes. I know.
Simply because of the transfer portal. It can save your team, okay? Because you got Deion Sanders, who took a 1-in-whatever team and looked like them boys headed on the way up, right? All right, so I watched this game, bro. Okay. And I got towards the middle of the first quarter, and I said, you know what? Let me chart the offense. Let me chart Clemson's offense. Okay. And what I charted was when they threw it to the right, how many times they threw it to the right, how many times they threw it to the left, and how many times they threw it up the middle. Okay. Because we know Clemson's offense doesn't use the middle of the field. And let me say this, I'm going to put a caveat out there, a disclaimer out there. The hashes are tight, right? So the middle of the field is not as big, right? But you know, I can, you know, I know my geometry and my math, bro. So, you know, I can figure it out, right? They threw the ball 17 times to the right. They threw the ball 13 times to the left. And majority of these throws are bubble screens, like 5-yard routes, nothing down the field. When they threw it down the middle, we had a pick, we had 1 catch, we had 3 balls that should have been interceptions, and we had an incomplete pass, bro. So, and this has been going on like this for years. And by the way, I think they have a new offensive coordinator. It's the same offense. So you can replace the person, but it doesn't replace the scheme and what you're trying to do. And Dabo hasn't been successful in terms of the quarterback position and the receivers and the offense since who?
Big Trevor Lawrence.
And before that,
it's been a couple years.
Deshaun Watson.
So he's got to have that beast. He's got to have that first round pick. You know what I'm saying? That top 5 pick to make it go. And right now, your boy right there that they got, he's not it at the current moment. I want to say it's over, man, but the transfer portal might save these guys, man. But then I hear that Dabo's is he not big on the transfer portal? So it may be over.
No. So this past year, I think they added 1, maybe 2 transfers. They didn't have the scholarships to offer. And historically, Dabo has not really leveraged the transfer portal. But the landscape of the game is changing. There's no question about that. So in order to maintain what the run that they've been on, and I think they've won the ACC like 8 of the last 9 years or 7 of the last 8 years. So I wouldn't throw dirt completely on them, but to your point, Drew, that offense and the level of futility that they've had recently, it's telling. It's telling that there are a lot of low percentage throws outside of the bubble screens, outside of the extended handoffs. They tend to be low percentage throws. And if you don't have a quarterback that's capable of playing at the next level, and a first round caliber quarterback, that is, it typically doesn't look pretty. And then, of course, you generally have a stud receiver, whether, you go back as far as Sammy Watkins, you got Mike Williams, you got Justin Ross, obviously with the injury, but certainly very talented in his own right. Go back a little further to Hopkins, you know what I'm saying? So they don't have that guy. It doesn't appear that they have that guy just yet, or he hasn't emerged just yet. So they don't have anybody to bail you out. You don't have a Wayne Gallman. You don't have an Etienne. We like Shipley, but he's not those players, at least from my perspective. He's not those players. Certainly isn't an Etienne. So they don't have the talent to overcome the system, right? They can't just out-talent their opponents from an offensive perspective anymore. So as you mentioned, in order to close that gap as far as the talent that they may be lacking, they need to leverage the transfer portal, and of course, they need to continue to refine their approach on offense. Helly, your thoughts in terms of whether or not Clemson's dynasty is over?
Yeah, you guys said it all right there. Is their dynasty over? I'm gonna say no. It's a hesitant no, like Drew said, because they can still recruit. The defensive side of the football, they got a lot of ballers on that defensive side of football. So the defense is there. It's just the offensive scheme, like you guys said, and they don't have that Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence type quarterback. So if they go find one of those guys, they're right back in it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if Cade Klubnik is that guy. We'll see. He's still young. He's still developing. But like you said, even if you have that young quarterback, you need those superstar weapons, and they don't have those superstar weapons. They don't have that superstar running back. So right now, I think it's going to be a little down year for Clemson. I think North Carolina wins on that side of the conference. Mm-hmm. But are they over? I'm going to say no. You just need that quarterback and those weapons. I think they could do it. So we'll see with Clemson, but I'm going to say no right now.
No, DJ, he absolutely looked phenomenal his first game with Oregon State. So it is telling. This has been an issue, and it's been an issue from my perspective since Trevor Lawrence came aboard, right? And I failed to mention T. Higgins, D-Kid. I'm glad you mentioned him. That was the go-to guy during Trevor Lawrence's tenure at Clemson. So it's been an issue for a while. The offense, in terms of the passing game specifically, and I also point out that the offensive line, you don't see a lot of NFL talent coming out of Clemson along the offensive line. That is something to pay close attention to as well. But certainly going back to Trevor Lawrence, there were a lot of back shoulder fade stops, low percentage throws that really required a quarterback, an NFL quarterback, to make those types of throws on a consistent basis in order to move the chain. So, yeah, Clemson certainly has work to do. I'm with you, though. I'm not ready to completely say that they're out of it because of their track record and certainly the advent of the transfer portal. He just, and by he I mean Dabo Swinney. He's going to have to depart from his kind of existing approach. You can't afford to be stubborn in a changing landscape. So we'll see. We'll see whether or not Clemson, Dabo, that whole group adjusts. Last thought on that is Clemson had more first downs than Duke had points in this game. Okay, I thought Clemson's defense played well for most of the game, but they ultimately broke down. Barrett Carter indicating that he wasn't in good enough shape. That's a little alarming, but certainly guys will cramp up. The first game, guys will play fewer snaps the first game, so it does take a little while to get into game shape. But for him to put that on record is a little bit alarming. 29 first downs, and you just could not cash in. You couldn't score points. There was an issue with the kicking game. They got to get it rectified. Exactly. You got to protect the football. It wasn't as if they weren't moving the football. Mm-hmm. It's just that they couldn't finish drives. You know what I mean? So we'll see if Clemson can get that rectified. All right. On to our next question here. And there are a lot of good quarterbacks out west. We're keeping an eye on them for NFL draft purposes. We think one will go first round for sure. There may be two. So I have an overarching question as it relates to the Pac-12, or what will no longer be the Pac-12, because of course it's imploding altogether. But it's going to be a fun year. Which team or teams make the college football playoff out of what will soon no longer be the Pac-12? I'll start with you, Drew. Mute.
Bro, this is tough. This is like the SEC a couple years ago. It was a couple of a little bit more than a handful of teams that you could speak about that could potentially kind of catapult themselves. This is tough, man.
D-Kid said none. We ain't having it.
None?
D-Kid said he ain't having it. He ain't having it.
The conference is too strong for...
Who's your four, D-Kid? I'm curious to hear this, and I'm going to get right back to you, Drew, but I do want to point this out. I thought this was a good point that D-Kid made. Dabo lost his coordinators, Venables, of course, well-known on the defensive side of the ball. And if there's any nepotism, if you don't necessarily, vet your coordinators and your coaches well, because I've seen it play out in Miami before and other places, don't hire no one you can't fire. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to make sure that you get the right guys in there in order to ensure that your team is going to be competitive year in and year out. So Willie Osborne, he's got Florida State, Georgia, Michigan, and Bama in the 2023 college football playoff. Who you got, Headley? Drew?
I got Michigan.
I know you got Michigan. I know you got Michigan.
I'm gonna throw Florida State in there. That's the squad. And then it's hard to displace Georgia.
DK has the same four. DK has the same four.
I don't think two SEC teams make it because of the Pac-12.
Think
somebody from the Pac-12 getting in.
Yeah.
Do you think somebody from the Pac-12 getting in?
My thing with the Pac-12 is Utah. Utah is always the thorn because they're physical. They're physical. They might not get to the Final Four.
Ruin somebody's
USC.
Right.
Beat somebody else to knock them out.
I know where you're going with it, Drew. Varsity Blues.
Yeah. I was just going. You ruined my perfect season, son.
That's what Utah does. They won the Pac-12 the last 2 years. I really like what I see out of Washington. I'm a big Michael Penix guy with those 3 receivers.
Yeah.
You know, the defensive line, Berlin Trice, ZTF, those guys getting after the quarterback. I like what I see from Washington, but it's hard to put them in the 4, man. So if USC could beat Utah this year, maybe USC would be in that Final 4.
I think it's
you like Washington, Drew. You like Washington.
It's either be USC or Washington. I'm leaning to Washington. I like them a little bit better than USC, but you got Caleb Williams over there. So I'm gonna go. It's one of those 2. You take your pick, but let's go Washington. I'm gonna go. I know Bama gonna have that
defense. Show me.
They might lose this week.
The quarterback got to show me. The quarterback, because last year he couldn't throw the forward pass. Now all of a sudden he's Jesus Christ. I guess I don't know, bro. So I got to see it. You know what I'm saying? So it's those things I got to see it to believe it. Georgia has taken a step back, I think, in all ways, but how far back I don't know because the defense is not going to be as good as the past 2 years, right? So.
Still got Rob Bowers. Still got Rob
Bowers. It'll be one of those 2, I would imagine. I'm gonna take State and I'm gonna take Michigan because that trash I saw from Ohio State this past week. You got to throw the ball. You got to be able to throw the ball, bro. I mean, you can run it all you want, and maybe it's because it's the first game because they was whack last year with the first game too. So I'm gonna give them a pass. I'm gonna give them a pass over to Ohio State, but I'm going with what you coach. Jesus,
This is a surprise to me. What you're saying is Venables has turned that corner in terms of Oklahoma perhaps sneaking in.
But sneak in, that conference is weak.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that's true. Oklahoma has a lot of ground to cover defensively. I believe Venables is capable of that, but I haven't seen enough to go that route just yet. Penn State.
Yeah, they got
they're
Drew
talented.
Aller, the quarterback.
They're talented.
They're young and talented.
They are.
That might be the Utah of the Big Ten.
The Big Ten. Yeah. We'll see. We will see how it plays out, but certainly intriguing. This is the best crop coming out of the Pac-12, largely because of the quarterback play that I can remember in recently. Like it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Are we talking like what, Mariota, Oregon?
Yeah.
Since a Pac-12 team made it to the college football playoff. I'm not sure. I can't be certain off the top of my head, but it's been a minute. It certainly has been a minute. All right. I got one here, and certainly I want to hear D-Kit and everybody in the audience is their thoughts as well. So be sure to comment down below. Who had the worst coaching performance in week 1?
It's hard not to say. I got 2 guys in mind. Drew's not gonna like one of them. But I got Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly. Just what he did with Harold Perkins. That was ridiculous.
Oh, man. Egregious.
That guy's the best pass rusher. I don't know if you're scared of the FSU run game, why they had him at off-ball linebackers. Because the Cowboys kind of do the same thing with Parsons. When they feel like a team could run on them, they'll put him at off-ball linebacker. But FSU really couldn't run. Mekhi Wingo and those boys, they were stopping their run game. We didn't need him as a spy, second-level off-ball linebacker. We needed him to get after Jordan Travis. So I thought what Brian Kelly did was egregious. So he's on the list. And Billy Napier from Florida, Drew, 44 pass attempts. I know you guys weren't really successful running the football, but with Etienne and the other running back,
Montrell
Johnson Jr. is like those are 2 of the best running backs to me in the nation, and not giving them those carries, I thought that was egregious as well. They didn't show up against Utah. Utah was playing with their backup quarterback, their backup tight ends. I know it was in Utah, but I thought that was a bad coaching performance also from Billy Napier.
No, I you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you because it's not just the not running the football, throwing it 44 times. It's also the penalties, the untimely penalties. We got 2 guys with the same number on the field on a crucial 4th down that they wasn't up scoring on. So yeah, he gonna have to eat that, bro. He got to eat that. So yeah, Billy Napier is it, bro.
Sonny Dykes catching that L from Colorado. Coach Prime, we're gonna talk about Coach Prime and what he got going in Colorado for sure. But yeah, that could certainly be considered one of the poorer performances among the coaches because, of course, how favored ultimately TCU was.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Why is that?
No, man, he worked the portal, bro. He worked the portal, and to me, I know we don't talk about it, but
yeah,
I listen, Shador, it didn't surprise me, right? What he did, it didn't surprise me. So not really. I mean, and them boys lost. They lost a lot of talent too. It wasn't like TCU was
TCU lost a lot of talent.
They lost a lot of talent, so it wasn't like we run it out there with the same guys we had last year. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been 20-point dogs, man.
Yeah,
that was
and that's really what it comes down to. And that's really what it comes down to. The fact that they were 20-point dogs, but that line wasn't a good line, frankly. As you mentioned, were we talking about 81 new players? I mean, overhaul of the ages. What did Prime say? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, hit that portal. I'm bringing my luggage.
And it's going to be Louis.
and it's Louis.
And it's Louis. Hit that portal, bro.
Oh, man. Excuse me, D-Kid? But you ain't putting nothing down for us? Come on, man.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Man, he knew something.
Yeah, that was a good bet.
I had them boys. I put something down, but you know who ruined it for me? Thursday night. You know who ruined my parlay?
Oh, you had a parlay.
You had a parlay.
Oh, no.
Bet on your team, bro.
Nah, you gotta.
I gotta do it at least once a year.
You can't bet on your team, bro.
Nah, don't
never bet on
your
team.
I wouldn't touch Thursday nights anyway, bro.
Yeah,
I wouldn't touch Thursday nights anyway.
They're weird.
Yeah. D-Kid said Colorado was the lock of the year. 5K, D-Kid. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good for you. All right. And our last question among the five is, who is receiver 2 in the 2024 NFL draft? So, of course, Malik Neighbors, his debut in 2023 did not go according to plan. He and Jaden Daniels just couldn't get on the same page. I thought FSU did a good job defending him. I know there's some development that still needs to take place with Neighbors, and I'm not out on him by any stretch of the imagination, but he certainly didn't look like receiver 2 last week. Who do you have as receiver 2 right now, Headley?
I'm sticking with who I had coming into the year. I had Rome Odunze from Washington. That boy got excellent hands, yards after the catch ability, big playability, size, speed, just twitchy. He has everything. You know, Keon Coleman is a guy that's moving up also, and Keon Coleman is a lot like Rome with the size and the speed dynamic. I think Keon Coleman attacks the football in the air better than Rome. But yeah, I think Rome Odunze to me is still locked at wide receiver 2, and then we'll talk about Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, Ibuka from Ohio State in that conversation as well. But it's Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze. Oh yeah, I know you, boy. You gonna talk about Jalen McMillan?
McMillan.
I know. Jalen McMillan, 3 TDs.
Headley.
Yeah.
What does Rome do better than Keon Coleman?
I can tell you.
I think he's more twitchy. I think he's a more twitchy guy.
Coleman a little bit more straight line.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think he's a better route runner than Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where he got him. That's why I leave Odunze as number 2. But Coleman ain't far off because Coleman will just out-beast you. Okay, you gonna cover me? That's fine. You can still throw the ball. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Right?
Very strong hands. Very strong hands.
Might have the strongest hands in the country, bro. To be honest with you.
Very strong hands at the catch point.
And you know what's crazy, bro? You know what's real crazy? When you don't have quarterback play, you kind of...
Oh, it looks bad.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dust in the wind.
They both had Jaden Reed. They had Jaden Reed and Keon Coleman last year.
And Keon Coleman.
They had both of those boys.
They had Jalen Naylor too.
Yeah.
They had Naylor too. So
you know that quarterback they had last year. You know where he's at? Auburn. Yeah, we watching you, player. You're not getting away, bro. You're not getting away.
Drew got his eye on you. All right. Let's talk about the studs of the week. Now, of course, there are a lot of players that had really impressive performances, but we try to narrow it down. And certainly next week, I want to get the audience's thoughts on that. So be sure to check out the community poll at Couch Potato General Manager, the YouTube channel. But we came up with a list of studs of the week, the guys that really set themselves apart in terms of their performances, and going to unveil that list for you, see what you guys think. All right. Here are our studs from week 1. Michael Penix Jr., Hyman Rucker, you mentioned him, Headley, when we were talking about UNC. What was it? 5.5 tackles for loss, a pair of sacks. Keon Coleman, of course, now in the conversation, certainly in that conversation for top 5. How high he will rise remains to be seen. Latu, man. I mean, when you talk about hands from a defensive perspective, the best pair of mitts in the class. I mean, you just can't get a hold of him. Offensive tackles cannot get to him. 3-sack debut in 2023, and Shedeur Sanders, man, and we're going to talk a lot about Shedeur Sanders. He came into this season in Headley or Drew's, I forget whether or not you both had him top 10. Drew, he's moved up considerably on your board, and it's really just it was really the confirmation, because you saw this at Jackson State. It was just a matter of the competition, and he's answered a lot of questions from your perspective. Headley, you would like to see it more. You certainly believe in his ability. You'd like to see it more. I said it. We had our home draft for fantasy football live draft, and I mentioned it. Shedeur is going to force his way into the conversation, right? The game had already been played, and considering how well he played and the platform that he has, got Tom Brady in his ear. Of course, Prime has been, molding him for a long time, coached him at the high school level as well. So I think Shedeur is going to be that name that finds its way, being discussed about the first round. Whether or not he actually lands in the first round, it still remains to be seen. But, if he continues to perform at a similar level as he did against TCU in that big upset, it's going to be hard not to pencil him in as part of the first round conversation. And let's unpack it a little bit more. What is it that you see from Shedeur Sanders, Drew, that's so impressive?
He's unbothered, bro. We talked about it with Bryce Young last year in terms of we said what did you call it? Nervous system.
Nervous system.
Just he's unbothered. The moment's never too big. He never looks high or low. I ain't saying too high or too low. I'm saying he don't look high or low. He just look even keeled all the way across the board. And obviously that may be the pedigree from his father, right? And dealing with Prime growing up with Prime in the house all your life and all of that. But he just because I tweeted, I said once TCU took the lead, I said, how does he respond? He responded, I think, in 4 plays. Then you turn around. I think they took the lead, they took the lead again.
Yeah.
He said, okay, no problem. And I think they went for it on 4th down. They got it, and they scored, and it was over from there. Because the defense took over. But that part of it, because in terms of the athletic ability, in terms of the skill set from the quarterback position, and having a command of that offense, it looks damn near flawless, bro. So. The only thing for me was, well, let's just see how it looks against better competition. And they asked him, they said, yo, man, what's the difference? He said the defensive linemen get off blocks. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between FCS and where I'm at now. So, which is funny and heard that before. But yeah, man, it's a nervous system. If he keeps just right on track. It's just unfortunate that you got Caleb Williams, you got Drake May, you got Michael Penix all in this same class, right? You got Bo Nix, but he's right there. And this could be the dark horse team. I know we talked about it earlier in terms of a Pac-12 team taking it. If he take this team, he might slide up into something. You know what I'm saying? So just telling.
Yeah, it's that Joe Cool thing, man. It's impressive. It's impressive when a player, understanding that there is a lot of pressure, right? That's just inherent playing the quarterback position. You Prime son, you know what I'm saying? People are questioning whether or not, as talented as you appear, whether or not you could do it at the best level. And he just goes out there and just kept on giving it to TCU, man. Every time TCU took the lead, that's okay. We'll get it back. Don't worry about it. I got it covered. I'm going to find Travis Hunter, who's ridiculous, by the way. 128 plays, playing both sides of the football. He's a monster, but we knew that. As you mentioned, Shedeur appears to be the real deal, man. What about you, Headley? What stands out to you about his play?
38 for 47, 510 yards, 4 TDs. The 0 interceptions also, really stood out to me. He's not forcing anything. Like Drew said, I think the poise, that's his number one attribute. Nothing really bothers him. He runs that offense effectively. He's I call him like a Chris Paul, man. He just distributed. He had 4 100-yard receivers, including the running back also. But it was just pitch and catch. Oh, you're going to give me the 5-yard hitch? I'm going to take that. Oh, it's one-on-one over the top. I'm going to throw it deep. Oh, one-on-one across the field. I got that. So it's just a pre-snap and post-snap awareness from him, man. It's advanced, and, we saw it at, the level of Jackson State. And it's like, okay, let's see what he does against Pac-12 defenses, Division I guys. And, TCU, they lost a lot of guys, Dylan Horton, Hodges Thomason, but they still got some dogs out there, man. The couple of linebackers, Hodges, they got Josh Newton in the corner that we like, that Travis Hunter did. And, we talked about ball skills. Travis Hunter is on that list too with ball skills. But, but Shedeur, man, he has everything, man. Pocket presence. You see him, how he works the pocket, how he steps up, how he delivers. The offensive line did a great job. That was kind of the most surprising thing to me in this game, how Colorado offensive line kept him clean. Yeah. So I just want to see him when it's not as clean, when defenders are coming down the barrel. He has to step up and make those throws. I want to see what it looks like then. But this game was amazing from him, man. He's definitely the stud of the week. He's definitely catapulted himself. I got him like a second round guy right now, but he plays more and more like this.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the first round. If he continues to play this way, he's going to be in the first round. I'm not saying they're going to the Final Four like Drew saying. I think defensively, they're going to have to outscore everybody, and it's not going to always go like that. You're not going to always have no turnovers in the game. It's going to be some turnovers, some things.
Weather will change. Exactly. Weather will change. Yeah.
I have maybe 3 losses this year, but that's impressive, man. There was a 1-win team last year. Coach Prime's coming over here. You got Shedeur Sanders. And he's just distributing, man. It's the point guard, man. He's the point guard out there for Colorado.
All right. Let's stay with the quarterback theme here, and let's talk about Michael Laser Penix, man. He just went out there casually, 450 yards, 5 TDs, a better QBR than Shedeur Sanders, believe it or not. Penix, we thought Penix might be in the first round conversation last year, right? Had he decided to forgo his senior year and play at the NFL level, we thought Penix could find his way. Certainly, we're higher on him than Will Levis, and if I'm not mistaken, Headley, you have Penix over Anthony Richardson as well. You know what I mean? Just in terms of how advanced he is as a passer. So certainly a first round caliber talent. He's stamping his way now, right? The question now becomes, okay, who's number 2? I think Drake May still kind of holds that position in place, but I truly believe Michael Penix is closing the gap. If he continues to play at this level, the weapons that he has, you've talked about Roma Dooms, got Drew's guy, Jalen McMillan, they can score in bunches. They can score in bunches. So Headley, what is it about Penix that maybe people have a little pause on? They're not necessarily buying into it. What do you think that might be?
I can't really call it. Say he's not the athletic specimen as Caleb Williams. Even Drake May. I think Drake May could do more things outside the pocket, run around, get those yards with his legs. I think maybe that's the pause for Michael Penix, that he's not doing much things with his legs. But when you got an arm, we call him Laser Penix. When you got an arm like that, and 450 yards, 5 TDs, 0 interceptions, but it was a play in the game where it was a rusher came to him at his legs. He kind of stepped to the left a little bit, resetted his feet, and threw a laser to Jalen Polk. So I think improving upon that, that pocket presence, using your feet, stepping up, doing things like that. I think if he improves upon that,
functional mobility,
the functional mobility with Michael Penix. I think if he improves upon that I saw in that first game, I think he could catapult himself maybe QB2. Right now, I have him as a QB3. Like you said, in last year's class, he was my QB3 last year, ahead of Anthony Richardson. So, I'm a big fan of Michael Penix's game. He started out slow. Well, the offense started out slow in the first quarter, and they adjusted. They adjusted in that second quarter. They scored a lot of points in that second quarter, and he delivered passes. Roma Dunze, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk. He had 11 passes of 20+ yards. You know, it's an elite arm talent. It's an elite arm talent, man. He makes those 20+ yard throws like it's a 7-8 yard throw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a little out. It's like a little out to him. Yeah.
It's easy for him. So, you know, the arm talent is where he wins. I think that's that mobility inside the pocket, that pocket presence, stepping up, doing things like that. I think he improved upon that. And, you know, he's a first-round guy all day for me.
It's the maturation for me, bro. It's a guy who came from Indiana. I think he lost the season, transferred. He was trying to figure out where he wanted to go. You know, he was supposed to go to USF, but it is what it is. You know, we could talk about it another day, but he decided.
I think he made the right decision.
Yeah,
he made the right decision.
Definitely made the right move. Over to Washington, and you know, it's the best move for him. And I just watching that dude, bro. I forgot about the arm, bro, till I turned on the Boise State game, bro, and it just showed up, and it looks so easy, so effortlessly. And I know, you know, we can talk about him having those weapons, and Drake May doesn't necessarily have his weapons because, you know, those guys aren't eligible for whatever reason. But if you got the weapons and you put up the numbers, I mean, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, you know, Michael Penix Jr. is on the rise. I need to check the schedule in terms of who they're playing between UNC and Washington. But as the season progresses, Michael Penix is going to be nipping at them heels, man. He might overtake him. If Drake may have a bad game or shows a regression in some form, I think Michael Penix has the opportunity to overtake him.
J2K, what's going on, man? Milton has the biggest arm in the country.
Yeah.
You talk about laser Penix. That this is I don't know. This is like like an atomic howitzer type of deal. You know what I mean? Like a cannon, a true cannon, but a modern cannon, not a Revolutionary War cannon. You feel me? You know, Milton has physical traits that obviously you cannot teach between the size and the arm strength. And again, he certainly makes it look easy. Interested to see how he continues to perform playing with Tennessee now that it's his team. And then Hooker obviously really solidified himself as an NFL prospect in Tennessee. So likely, hopefully, Milton has kind of the same trajectory. He has not put together the type of performances Michael Penix has, Drake May has to this point. So it remains to be seen. But when you talk about traits, yeah, there really aren't any guys who approach what Joe Milton possesses in terms of that right arm. I'll definitely give him that. So
yeah,
he has NFL traits. There's no question about that. It's now, the neck up. We want to see the development in terms of manipulating defensive backs with his eyes, pre-snap recognition, post-snap decision making. That's what we want to see, the finer points of the game. The physical aspects of it, Milton checks those boxes, 2-3 times over. So interesting to see. He's very, very intriguing. Doesn't make the studs of the week list, but certainly an intriguing prospect.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Milton a little bit now that you mentioned him, J2K, because the main difference to me is accuracy. Michael Penix, pinpoint accuracy. I was watching the Tennessee game because I'm a big fan of Joe Milton myself, because not only the arm, I like how he kind of uses his feet in the pocket, but the accuracy, man, it was off that game, man. It was off. He wasn't making those throws right where the receivers could catch and run with the football. So I wanted to see him improve upon his accuracy to kind of put him in that top 5 quarterbacks. So I think that's what he's missing right now.
I see D Kid and J2K in the comment section. Anybody else lurking, be sure to chime in, say hello. We want to know who's tuning into the second half draft show. All right. Drew, let's talk about Latu, man. Let's talk about him. All right. The hands.
Real quick, just to
derail?
piggyback off it. Yeah, not derail. We do that
not
later.
Derail, but okay.
Not
all
derail.
right.
Yeah, just real quick. Let's hit a reverse. I'll take a couple steps back. In terms of Milton, I think he's a 5th or 6th year senior. So there's something to be said for that. He's always been the guy behind the guy, right? So that makes you wonder too, obviously. So and so he's been in college for a minute and he hasn't played a lot. So this is his year to get it done, and that'll be a question, obviously. So that's a part of it too. But in terms of Latu, you said it, bro. Best hands in the country. I think he's the complete package from the edge position. If Jarrett Verse isn't the best pass rusher, it's this guy right here. He can defend the edge in terms of run, and he can come off the edge, and he can fool offensive linemen. He can set offensive linemen up. He can drop back into coverage. Like, he is the entire package. If you want to get cute, which I think UCLA did a lot this past game going against Coastal Carolina, it was kind of irking me a little bit. They decided to drop him back in coverage. I don't think that's his home, but if you want to get cute a couple times a game, 2-3 times a game, trying to catch somebody slipping, I think he has the ability to do that. But I think he needs to be heading to the quarterback. And his biggest concern obviously is staying healthy. If he can prove that he stays healthy, then he'll be fine. He'll be a top. I believe he'll be a top 10 pick. If not there's a lot of quarterbacks, so I'll leave it there. Top 10 pick.
He's edge too, though. He's edge too,
and I think he has a chance to overtake Verse.
I agree.
He has a chance to overtake them.
It won't happen, though.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you why it won't happen. Two things.
Combine.
I think, yes, exactly. Verse is going to check the boxes from an athleticism standpoint. He's a better athlete than Latu, right? And then, of course, there's an injury history there with Latu. There are going to be some red flags from an injury standpoint. But when you talk about technician, in terms of being a pass rusher, he's the best in the country. Yeah. When you talk about the ceiling, and obviously Verse has a very high floor. Don't get me wrong. We're talking about Verse perhaps being the top defensive prospect in this whole entire class, right? So I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying here. But just from a technical standpoint, setting up offensive linemen, being able to rush from anywhere along the offensive line, the array of pass rush moves, and the ability to be very good against the run. I think he's a little bit better than Jarrett Verse against the run. You know what I'm saying? So he's impressive. He's impressive. But I think ultimately, when it's all said and done, pre-draft evaluation, Jarrett Verse will be the top edge off the board, followed by Latu.
Yeah, Latu. I wanted to talk about Latu because he had 3 sacks, right? 10 total pressures on only 28 pass rushing reps.
Efficient.
That boy wins. Wins.
They can't block him, bro. they can't even get their hands on him, bro. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know if anybody in our offense is familiar with the Ip Man movies. Donnie Yen, the actor from China. Most recently, he was in John Wick 4. When you see Donnie Yen and them Wing Chun hand, that's who I think of. Latu. That's what I like in Latu's hands, because, like I said, he's there 1 minute and he's gone because of his technique, because of how he sets you up, the quickness of his hands, the ability to keep the offensive tackle's hands off of his frame. He's incredible. He's incredible. And to me, what I really like about players like that is that they don't have to rely on overwhelming athleticism in order to get the job done. You know what I mean? To me, that plays longer. I can count on Latu, again, assuming the health is where it needs to be affecting the quarterback consistently over a longer period of time because, again, he's so advanced in his approach to pass rushing.
I liken that to like a speed receiver and a DeAndre Hopkins, right? There's not saying the speed receiver is a one-trick pony, but when that speed goes, what do you have, right? DeAndre Hopkins is always going to be DeAndre Hopkins, right? So that's kind of how I look at it when you talk about the technician and Latu and a guy who has, maybe that nice first step. Because I know, D-Kid had asked about his first step. His first step is fine, but it works because everything works in succession with him in terms of setting offensive linemen up. So if he didn't have the first step, he wouldn't need. It's not necessary for him.
He got a plan because he has a plan. Yep.
To me, like you said, he's a technician pass rusher in this class. He might not go ahead against Jarrett Verse because of what Jarrett does on the athletic. I think Jarrett Verse has a better first step, closing ability, just more speed than Latu.
He's more explosive. He's more explosive.
But Latu hands, his power. It's not even just speed; it's power with speed. He's a hand technician, man. And I remember when Nick Bosa came out. That's the same thing. We're kind of speaking about Nick Bosa. He's not the supreme athlete, but just how he uses his hand, the technique wise, and how he gets after the quarterback and the run game. You know, Latu fits the bill and all of that. It's just that injury concern, that neck injury. He medically retired. He thought he was out of football. Then he transferred. UCLA gave him, granted him permission to play, and it's been, you know, up ever since, man. 10 sacks last season, probably get another 10 this season. So, you know, it's just that injury thing, man. How teams are going to look at that. You know, teams, they're paying millions and millions of dollars to these guys, so they got to check that box. That's the first box that he'll have to check.
Yeah, that to me would be why he's driven down the board. You know, I think he's a top 10 guy, just in terms of the performance on the field. But the injuries could force him into the bottom half of the first round, right? Teams may shy away from it. You know, it happens every season. It happens absolutely every season. And as you mentioned, Headley, there's a huge investment being made by these teams, so they will err on the side of caution. You know, I've seen very good players that I thought were maybe like day 2 guys go undrafted because of a medical concern. You know what I mean? So certainly wouldn't be the first to be impacted by that. What was I going to say? I lost.
He came from Washington, right?
Yes, he did.
Washington. He was a 4-star recruit. You know, he was a highly recruited, and that neck injury kind of derailed him.
I know what I was going to say. So, Hadley, you use a bit of a modern example in terms of a guy who wins with great hand usage, leverage, technique, wins consistently. I mean, Nick Bosa was the Defensive Player of the Year. I go back a little further because I thought about Bosa. And you mentioned Bosa. I go back a little further. Jared Allen, bro. Jared Allen. You know, obviously, he started his career with Kansas City, but when he went to Minnesota, Jared Allen wasn't screaming off the edge with this great explosion. It was the leverage. It was his hand usage. It was the ability to set offensive linemen up, and his ability to finish, right?
His
we
motor.
talk about a lot of guys. His motor, it just never stops. So that's the kind of player that I liken him to. And those guys, you have to game plan for. You can't just line up and say, okay, go handle him, regardless of where he lines up, play after play. Because again, Latu, he'll line up all over the defensive line. And then, of course, you mentioned he has the ability to drop back in coverage. I don't want to see it, but you know, you got to do that from time to time. But yeah, he presents a huge problem for opposing offenses, not unlike Nick Bosa and Jared Allen. All right. We've talked about Keon Coleman previously when we were wrapping up the FSU destruction of LSU. Let's talk about Kyman Rucker. We touched on him briefly. 5.5 tackles for loss. We talked about how aggressive UNC's defense was. They were playing downhill. What do you think about Rucker and his NFL prospects, Edley?
I like what I saw. You know, I wasn't that familiar with him before this game, and when I watched it, man, he kind of took advantage of South Carolina's scheme. I thought South Carolina was kind of being a little cute. They had him on block sometimes, had a tight end over him sometimes, but his speed and tenacity really plays. He kind of slithers through the offensive line. He's very quick, agile. He has a really good first step. I saw that first step, but he just had that good blend of speed and power. I don't think he's like a first round guy, but you know, he can slip into day 2 because he's very disruptive. It doesn't matter which side he rushed from. He rushed from the left side, the right side, and you know, just that combination of what UNC is doing, man. The defense looks spectacular, man. Just being so aggressive. There's a lot of guys, and I think a lot of guys are going to make plays. It was his week this week, Rucker. Next week, it could be Murphy's week. It could be Cedric Gray. It's just a lot of guys in that front 7.
Atkins,
but you know, I did like what I seen out of Rucker though in week 1.
Yeah, he has good leverage, and I think that's a guy you can. In my eyes, I'd be playing games up front with him. A lot of stunts, twist, different things, mix it up, get your linebackers involved. I mean, you could get real sexy out here with what you want to do with that defensive line, the way that they're playing, and Rucker could be a big part of that, man. So, yeah.
All right, let's transition into a little trivia here.
Now, before you do that, I got
trivia. Here we
go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Let's do it,
bro. You know,
off the tracks.
Yeah,
we're completely off the tracks now.
You gotta hold on, bro. That's it. Feel me? Just hold on. Let me find it.
You got a highlight?
Yeah. Nah, no.
Are you even ready? Are you prepared to actually derail the show?
Yeah, I got it, bro. I got it right here.
Right,
you see it?
Right.
You see it? Let me get in here.
Brett McMurphy.
Yeah. My sources tell me And players on active NFL rosters. I got a question for y'all. What Florida school is at the top, bro?
Oh, Florida, the Gators.
Yes.
Where's
FSU and Miami, bro? Where are y'all at, bro?
We're at 16. I didn't expect Miami on this list. I don't know where they are, but
hey, watch your mouth.
No,
watch your mouth.
Active.
Watch your mouth.
The 2000s, man. It's
watch your mouth, bro. Watch your mouth, bro. Disrespect.
But yeah, this is surprising though, Drew. I didn't. They probably third stringers.
It's a lot of bus. It's a lot of bus, bro. It's a lot of bus.
No, ain't no bus, bro. He's an active. It's active roster.
Hey, man.
CJ Henderson is on the active roster right now.
Come on. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't count red flags, and I don't count mental issues, bro. Okay, I don't count that. All right.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into this trivia. Before we do get into this trivia, I want to remind our audience to take advantage of our relationship with Underdog Fantasy. 2x your deposit. First deposit up to $100. So you deposit 100. You got 200 to play with, man. I was in that game last night. You know, I said earlier, don't wager, don't do any of that. You know what I'm saying on Thursdays. But you know, a little underdog. It's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different. We're not dealing with spreads. I got 4 out of 5 right. Came up a little short, but this weekend, I certainly want to take advantage of it. Also, before Sunday's games with the NFL, there's some season-long props that you may want to take advantage of. So be sure to check out our link in the description, promo code CPGM, to take advantage of that offer. I'm not sure if the best ball drafts are still going on. Of course, we talked about that throughout the summer. So definitely take advantage of the weekly contests for sure. All right. Here we go. I don't know what the score is. We'll figure that out at some point and tally it all up. I'm jotting it down. I just don't know where my file is. So as you probably have seen across the scrolling ticker, the game of the week for week 2, which we are going to preview, is
private chat.
Gotcha.
It's between Texas and Alabama. Drew keeping Headley on the honor system, private chat. No searching, no Googles. No internet, no phone a friend. Texas and Alabama. So we have a couple trivia questions associated with those two teams. Folks, please, by all means, play along at home. Comment down your thoughts on who the answer might be for this trivia. So first, trivia question. Who is the all-time leader in interceptions for the Alabama Crimson Tide?
Interceptions.
Big 3 points here. Big 3 points.
We have more clues after this, or just the only clue?
No, only clue. Only clue.
All right, all-time leader interceptions for Alabama. Got to be a safety, right, Drew?
That's what I'm thinking. Guy in the rover position would.
I'm gonna go. I must go and throw it out there because he had a lot of interceptions for these boys.
They didn't throw at PS2 like that, D kid. They didn't throw at PS2.
I don't think it's the corners.
I'm gonna go Eddie Jackson.
I like that guess. I like that.
He had a lot of picks.
I think he had a lot of plays. He might have had a couple of forced fumbles, fumble recoveries,
a few pick sixes. He had a few pick sixes too. I like that guess a lot, Headley. I do. It's not right, but I like it.
I'm gonna go.
That's a guy I thought about.
Yeah.
Xavier McKinney.
I don't think he had that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about his ball production.
No.
It's not McKinney though. You were thinking Minka?
Yes.
Nah, it ain't Minka.
Okay.
It ain't Minka. Y'all not gonna get this one, man.
Levi Wallace?
It's an oldie. It's an oldie, man.
The
only reason why I know this name is because of what Alabama did to Miami in the Sugar Bowl in like 1991. I remember it.
Wait, you went back to 91?
Come on,
like 93, 91 or something like that. Antonio Langham. Langham. The reason why I did that one is because he's a 90s guy, you know, and I tend to remember a little bit better from the 90s and the 2000s myself. So Antonio Langham is that one. So I like those guesses though. Those were quality guesses. All right. That's all I have for Bama. Okay. I got something for you for Texas though.
Ricky Williams.
That's a good guess. Ricky Williams is the answer to a lot of questions for Texas. He is the answer. I that's a good place to start. All right. Name the Texas Longhorns all-time leaders in receptions and receiving touchdowns. 2 points each.
It's two different players.
Two different players.
You said receptions
and receiving touchdowns.
Receiving touchdowns.
D-Kit might know this one.
Roy Williams.
For.
Oh, damn.
For
touchdowns.
What? Which one?
Touchdowns.
Yeah. All right, you got it. 2 points.
Good job, bro.
Good job.
That boy was trash in the league, bro, because he was a Cowboy.
He started his career in Detroit. He started his career in Detroit.
Yeah, there it is. There you go. That do it. That boy's killed a lot of receivers, bro. Mike Williams, Roy Williams,
Charles Rogers.
I was gonna say dude from Michigan State. Yeah.
But you couldn't get Megatron wrong. There's no way.
No, that was what they call it. Not the safest pick, but it's can't fail pick. What I forget.
Can't miss.
Can't miss. Yeah, can't miss.
Yeah.
Bro.
Receptions. Who's the reception leader?
D-Kit got it, by the way.
Oh.
There's a part of me that doesn't think it's a receiver.
We talked about this recently. Yeah.
This player?
Yeah. It was tangential, but we came across this player. We didn't go into detail about it, but we were discussing something else, and tangentially we mentioned this player.
Is he still in the league?
No,
I didn't think so.
This is way back.
I wouldn't say way back.
I don't think it's too far back.
It ain't too far back.
What team drafted him, bro? Or what round did he go in?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I think it was the Bengals. I think the Bengals drafted him.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna remember this one, bro. The Bengals.
Give up?
Yeah, I don't know.
TJ Hushmanzada. I don't know.
Oh, man. TJ played. Hushmanzili played at Oregon State. Yeah, he played at Oregon State.
Yeah, I don't know
no Lima Swede guesses. No,
Lima Swede.
No Devin Duvernays or anything like that. None of those guesses.
Nah.
It was Jordan Shipley. Play back with Colt
McCoy. Bro, I was thinking. You know what I was thinking? I'm thinking a white receiver, a white slot guy. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I couldn't get the name.
Numbers, bro. He put up numbers. 248 receptions, bro. Roy Williams had 36 TDs. Shipley actually has a second in TDs at Texas. D-Kit confirmed it was the Bengals. So, give me a point. Shipley had 33 while at Texas. I'll give a bonus point for this one. Yes.
Damn.
Yes. Shipley had 33 touchdowns. I'll give you a bonus point. Who is third all time for Texas in receiving touchdowns?
Third all time.
Receiving touchdowns.
I'll tell you when I was looking this up. I'll tell you who my guess was.
Reggie Bush.
My guess was Reggie.
Not
Bush.
Reggie Bush. My bad. My bad. I got Vince Young. Reggie. My bad. Sorry. My bad. They played in that championship game.
He combined it together.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
Who was you thinking? Who was the? Who'd you think?
My guess was Colin Johnson. That's who my guess was.
That's not bad.
I was thinking of a running back, but
who?
I was trying to go off the. That's why I said the wrong name.
Now, mind you, there are a lot of touchdowns scored on the ground from Texas, bro. And running backs, you got Ricky, you got Priest, you got Jamal Charles, you got Sed Benson, like a lot of. You got Deontay Foreman, like a lot of TDs scored on the ground, bro. I got y'all, huh? Don't know this one? No guesses. No, we don't watch Pac-12 or the Pac-12. We don't watch Big 12 like that, bro. Yeah. Yeah, you have a issue with the Big 12.
Just get scout team football out there, be flag football.
Man, come on. No guesses, Hadley?
Nah, I'm drawing a blank right now.
It's understandable. It's understandable, but this one surprised me a little bit. It surprised me a little bit. Xavier Worthy, bro.
What?
You know, I was
Xavier
thinking his
Worthy.
name.
Should have just guessed it, bro.
Yeah, I should say it. Next time I'm
Xavier
just gonna say
Worthy
it.
is third already in touchdowns at Texas.
That's crazy,
already,
bro.
Wow.
Yeah. Starting the beginning of his third season, he's already third. So
Yeah.
very impressive stuff from Xavier Worthy. All right, one more trivia question here. Texas Longhorns related. All right. So everybody knows that Colt McCoy played forever. He owns most of the records for Texas quarterbacks as far as touchdown passes and yards. He's first in both, right? Had over 13,000 passing yards, 112 TD passes at Texas. Who is second in both passing yards and passing TDs?
I don't think he played for Texas, but he keeps popping in my head. And maybe he coached for them boys. I think it's the rival though that he played for. I'm thinking of but he wasn't that talented though.
That's an interesting guess, D-Kid. Interesting guess.
Texas.
Was drawing blanks tonight, man.
Yeah.
I got one. I just trying to think of another just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with going with. You know what I'm saying? Gotta feel comfortable.
I will give you this hint. I'm gonna give you this hint. It was a surprise.
It was a surprise.
It was a surprise, bro.
So it might be somebody current, bro. Or just left that bit.
Who was there before? Who just left there?
So you had Quinn Ewers there now.
No, D-Kid.
Who was before him?
Yeah, Texas haven't been good in a while.
Yeah, bro. The quarterback position been a problem. One of their problems. I'm just gonna say this, dude. I think he played for the rival, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I was gonna say Major Applewhite, but I think
that was D-Kid's first guess.
That was first guess. I think he played for Oklahoma though.
No, Applewhite played for Texas. He played for Texas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He coached at Oklahoma.
That's what it was.
Okay. That's what it was.
Reverse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Any guesses, Headley?
Yeah. Now
Headley might be hurt when you hear this one.
Nah,
bro.
I don't got it.
Bro. Sam Ehlinger, bro.
Ehlinger. That was the guy that was.
He was most recent. He was most recent.
Yeah.
Bro,
Ehlinger.
Bro, I had no clue this man had 11,400 yards passing and 94 TD passes, bro. I had no clue.
But he played a lot of years there.
No, but that's the thing. Exactly. He started early. He never had huge performance. I think he had one year where he threw 32 TD passes. He never had like monster years, but he played a lot. And he accumulated a lot of numbers over the course of his career. So,
and then
Ehlinger. Yeah. All right, man. Drew gets the big 2 points out of our trivia this evening.
Roy Williams.
Right? Roy Williams, though.
Roy Williams.
No.
All right. I do happen to know him. We've already talked about the studs of this past week in terms of college football, draft eligible guys. Obviously, because they perform so well, in many minds, their stock is up. It's a handful of other players that we consider stock up. Of course, we can't get to all players, but a handful of players that we really do want to discuss regarding their stock being up after the first full week of college football. So let's bring that in, and there you have it. Unveil the list. Riley Leonard in that big win over Clemson. Mekhi Wingo, we mentioned him. He was one of the few bright spots from LSU against FSU. Xavier Leggett put up a big line as far as receptions and yards against UNC. Trey Harris, the transfer, and Tyler Nubin. A lot of people are very high on Tyler Nubin. His IQ, his ability to find the football. Of course, he's no Cameron Kitchens, but a very good player in his own right. So, with that being said, Drew, let's start with Riley Leonard. Let's start with Riley Leonard. He certainly he finds a way to win. Let me put it that way. He finds a way to win. It's not always pretty. It's not always elegant. 175 yards through the air is not a huge number, but very good quarterback rating here at 85. He just finds a way to win. What do you think about his draft stock in particular?
I don't necessarily think he moved the needle. I think that he kind of piqued some people's interest in terms of I'm gonna keep my eye on this season, see how things go. He did a lot of damage with his legs, not necessarily his arm. I thought he missed. I think one of the biggest problems that I had with him coming into the season, or one of the things I'm watching to see if he improves, is his deep ball accuracy. Just getting it down, whether it be down the sideline, down the seam, whatever it is. I think he struggles a little bit with that. But his short to intermediate game is where it needs to be. And he does a lot of damage with his legs, man. But I want to see him sit back in the pocket, do a little bit more progressing through his reads, and just finding the open guy. But I think he did a fantastic job versus Clemson, and he was able to avoid the rush. And he kind of made them boys look a little slow, man. And he's not an easy guy to take down either. So I think his stock is up. He's trending up for sure.
All right. What do you think about his performance, Emily?
It was okay. I just can't get past his passing. I think that's where he needs to improve upon a lot. But as a runner, they calling him Vanilla Vic out there, man. I've seen it on the X-Men, and this guy, he could take off. You seen him break that tackle by Barrett Carter and got to the sideline, tiptoe the sideline. So he's impressive as a runner. Not just speed, he can make a guy miss, but as a passer, he went 17 for 33. That's what's that? Below
just over
50%.
Just
over 50%.
Yeah.
No touchdowns, no picks, but 98 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown. I seen him being touted as a potential QB3 after this game. I don't see it, man. I don't see it at all. It's just the passing, man. He's special with his legs. He does have a strong arm. He could fit the ball into small windows. Just the accuracy is an issue for me. The processing a little bit delayed. He's more of a first read type quarterback. When he has to get to the second and third read, he's either going to probably just take off or he might check it down, but he's not going to get into the progression as smoothly. So I think he just got to work on that passing game, man. But as a runner, he's exceptional, man. He's one of the best running quarterbacks in college football.
I think he played basketball too, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a really good athlete. He really is a good athlete. And I just get the feeling that there's going to be a coaching staff that kind of falls in love with him, and he ends up being kind of a day 3 guy. I think when we talk about stock up, I think he's in the conversation of being drafted. I wouldn't necessarily have thought so previously. I think the way he managed the game, the way he makes plays, he can find his way being drafted. Now, whether he can continue to refine the passing aspect of things and really bolster his stock remains to be seen. But certainly, I think he's in the conversation of being a draft pick now, as opposed to being maybe a priority free agent previously. All right, D-Kit, that would be the one and only Vince Young, VY.
Got to be right.
He's like top 7, top 8 among rushers, and that is a very impressive list of ball carriers coming out of Texas. Very impressive. All right, Mekhi Wingo, man. The guy Mason Smith, got suspended again. NCAA, I don't know what they're up to. Just trying to
shenanigans,
stay relevant, I suppose. I don't know. At any rate,
they got money, bro. They got money on games, bro.
Okay. Mekhi Wingo certainly stepped up. Again, I mentioned he was one of the few bright spots. Not a whole lot of counting stacks. I know he had a few assisted tackles, but his ability to affect the passer, get Jordan Travis off his spot. When they didn't necessarily have 2 backs in the backfield, he was in there in the running game. Drew, your thoughts on Wingo and how much he helped himself?
I think he was a little bit of a blur, and I mean that in a good way in terms of coming off the snap and FSU struggling at times to block him blow, like you said, just being super disruptive, blowing up plays, making plays. He was, Jake said, disruptive. That's essentially what he was, man. It would have been nice to see what he looked like more if Harold Perkins was rushing, because he probably could have done more damage. Because at some point you're like, okay, if they're not going to rush Perkins, then we need to double team this guy and take him away, right? Because they don't have Mason Smith, right? So, which is what, as far as I know, that's what FSU did. So, but he'll be a guy we definitely be watching. You know, there's a lot of pass rushers coming out. I know we didn't mention them, and we talked about Latu, but you got the two Murphy brothers over there at UCLA who was doing work. I know that was Coastal Carolina, but them boys was doing work as well. So this is going to be a heavy D-line draft, I think, this year, especially from the edge position. Actually, you know what? All across the board in terms of the D-line.
Yeah. You know, Wingo definitely made his move up to that day 2. Had an exceptional game. He's wearing that number 18 at LSU. I know you said you were looking for a number 7, Drew, at LSU, but they got a number 18, and that's Makai Wingo. He was small, stocky interior lineman. Quick twitch ability, caused havoc on the interior time after time. Like you said, he didn't have the counting stats, but he got Jordan Travis off his point, got him rolling out and stuff like that. He's just a load to deal with. He works well through contact. He penetrates to the backfield, and he's always on the field. You know, that's a big thing with Wingo. Also, it speaks to his stamina, his endurance.
Lungs.
You know, a lot of times you rotate guys on and off the field along the defensive line, but Wingo never really comes off the field. FSU kept on trying to move the pocket, but try to be creative, but it didn't work against Mingo. Mingo just accelerated. He was quick. Like I said, he has a strand hand usage. I think he has an inconsistent burst from the snap. He needs to develop more pass rushing moves. But when he times it up and he gets through that backfield, man, he's very disruptive, man. And he was disrupted in that Florida State game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him and Mason Smith together, working together, see what they can do up front. Get Harold Perkins getting upfield after the quarterback. I think that's their recipe for success. Not rush 3, drop 8, and still get beat over the top. That ain't. Bro. You got to affect the quarterback.
Carolina did.
Like if I'm gonna get beat over the top, I'm gonna get beat over the top because I'm sending the house or I'm just leaving guys 1-on-1, not cover 2 shell or whatever you want to call it, and still get beat, bro. That's come on.
Not prevent, but right. I'm still getting beat deep. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's a horrible offense, bro.
But it's terrible, man.
Malpractice, bro. The defense they ran was malpractice, bro.
Absolutely. Helly, let's talk a little bit about Xavier Legette. Your thoughts on his performance?
Man, you know, I'm expecting Xavier Legette. I'm expecting to see Juice Wells out there. I tuned in. Juice Wells, he was battling a foot injury, I believe. He was on and off the field. Yeah, but what Legette, man? Number 17, looking like Alshon, 6'3", 227, South Carolina wide receiver. And that was my guy too. What I've seen from Legette, man, what I've heard though is he put in a lot of work in the offseason. He's a 5th-year senior, but he was out there in Arizona working with Deebo Samuels, putting in the work, and it showed in this game, man. He showcased great body control, the ability to go get the football in those 50-50 situations. Spencer Rattler threw it up to him a couple times, and he just won it, man. Just was more physical at the catch point. He's a load to deal with after the catch. He has a nice combination of twitch and power after the catch. You see he's a creative runner, and he could drag those DBs for extra yardage as well. They said he got up to over 21 miles per hour. So he displays that speed also. Mm-hmm. So he has a lot of tools, man. Like I said, strong hands. And I was expecting to see Juice Wells, and a welcome surprise. Xavier Legette, didn't really know about him coming into this game, and he stood out big time with Spencer Rattler in South Carolina.
Yeah, bro. I don't know if I need to add anything to that, bro. You didn't said the whole package.
Let the track breathe. Let the track breathe.
Let the track breathe, bro. You just want to see more of it throughout the season. Him stay healthy and see where things fall where they may.
All right. Well, Helly, you bodied the Xavier Legette analysis. Let's go in on Trey Harris.
This is another receiver that it was 3 guys, man. I'm expecting to see Johnny Wilson. Keon Coleman showed out. I'm expecting to see Juice Wells, Xavier Legette showed out. I'm expecting to see Zachary Franklin. He was hurt. Mm-hmm. So out of nowhere, the transfer from LA Tech, La Tech, Trey Harris, good size, 6'2", 205, display run after the catch ability. I saw him spin off of the defender. He broke the school record, which had Mingo, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, 4 TD catches. No one ever did that at Ole Miss. And I watched a game against Clemson last year. I had to go back to his game against Clemson last year at LA Tech, and he showcased great body skills, ball skills, body control. He made some great catches. He had 10 TDs last year for them. So he knows how to find an end zone, and he wins those one-on-one contested catches. So I'm interested to see him again. Jackson Dart throwing him the football. I want to see Zachary Franklin come back, because that'll be a great combination. 2 excellent receivers for Ole Miss.
I thought Jackson Dart looked good too. He's looking like he's coming into his own in terms of the quarterback position. I know they're in that easy offense. I don't know if I want to call it that. My apologies if somebody's offended, but
friendly.
There we go. Friendly
offense.
Yeah,
there you go.
But yeah, Trey Harris. Thinking about these receivers, I try not to watch too many of the same position in a row. But we trying to get ready for the show, trying to, what I'm saying, trying to do the right thing, trying to be prepared, right? And Xavier, Leggett, and Harris are similar, except Leggett is obviously 20 pounds bigger, but Harris plays similar in terms of going up and getting the football, can catch with defenders around him. Man, he can also create a little separation. I think he got a little quick twitch to him. And he's got some nasty after the catch, man. So it'll be interesting to see this weekend. They are playing, is it Tulane, correct?
It's Tulane.
Yeah, Tulane. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. I know that Tulane's got the number 1 quarterback, aka PFF grade, Pratt, as a top quarterback. He was super efficient, as Jordan Reed said on Twitter. Can't help but be super efficient when guys are running wide open. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen this week or tomorrow versus Ole Miss, but that'll be a fun game to watch still.
All right, and our last player to be featured here in our stock up segment, Tyler Nubin, the safety from Minnesota. Drew, you dropped a video on the channel. Be sure to check that out. Couch Potato General Manager YouTube channel. You dubbed him the smartest safety in the country. Why is that?
I was just trying to get the views, bro.
Yeah, I know how that goes. You gotta put that hook out there. You gotta when you're fishing and rolling in.
I do what I can. But no, but when I'm watching film or watching the tape, whatever it is I'm watching, and a guy can essentially learn. Because when I saw what I saw from him in terms of what he did in that Nebraska game, who it brought me back to? Emmanuel Forbes last year versus Kentucky. Yeah. They ran the same play twice. Now Nebraska didn't necessarily run the same play, but it was the same concept. Right?
Concept was the same.
And to be honest with you, I don't know how you didn't pick it off how Nubin didn't pick off the ball the first time before he ended that game with the second pick. It was the next play, and they ran almost the same concept. And he cut right in front of it. It was a bad pass. Your boy was throwing off his back foot. Don't know why he was throwing off his back foot in Jeff Sims. And he cut right in front of it and made the play. So he essentially stared down his receiver, and he made the play. But Nubin learned from one play to the next. I think it was 30 seconds later. He had another pick earlier where he just kind of screamed across the field, and it was an overthrow due to the defensive lineman getting a hold of Jeff Sims. He just couldn't line it up, overthrew it. He cleaned it up. He also had another play at the goal line, and I think it was a corner, because I think Minnesota has really good corners, to be honest with you. But the corner made the pick, but if the corner doesn't make the pick, I think he still makes the play. To be honest with you, so we're talking about this guy having 3 picks. So, and I know Headley, I know you're not super high on him in terms of coverage. I think he is a better player coming downhill, to be honest with you. But I think he's got some range in him, man. Got some range in him to move.
Yeah, it's very refreshing to see. The ball skills he's displayed, this first couple games, because, what I really liked about him was how he came downhill, how he hit in the run game. That's what I was, on with Nubin. And now we're seeing him in the passing game, in zone coverage, just triggering. He's very instinctive. He's smart. And now he could get his hands on the football, and he could catch the football. Because we always ask about DBs, can you catch the football? And, he has 2 interceptions. So when you could turn the ball over and you're that physical force, in the box, and that's the best of both worlds, man. That's what you need from a safety. You need to be versatile. So, what Tyler Nubin, he's working his way up, and he's probably a first-round prospect now.
You got Cole Bishop, you got Cam Kitchens, you got Tyler Nubin,
Makuba?
You got Makuba, who played
Jaden
well.
Hicks from Washington State.
So you say, usually you don't have a safety draft, and the next year you may or may not have one, but this year, you're gonna have one.
This year's Brian Branch?
Nah, I think if I'm gonna give somebody Brian Branch, that would be Cam Kitchens, or that would be Cole Bishop. Those two players are closer to me. But nobody's Brian Branch though, man. Brian Branch was a first.
You got Kellen Bullock too. Remember Kellen Bullock?
And you do got Kellen Bullock. Yeah, that's true too. So
a lot of safeties.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I see D Kit and Jake. They're both lobbying for the Giants and Green Bay, respectively, to select Nubin. So we shall see. We shall see how it all plays out for one Tyler Nubin. Last segment of tonight's show. We want to preview the game of the week. All right, and that's between the aforementioned Texas Longhorns and Alabama Crimson Tide. Drew, I want to get a sense of what you think we're going to see from Alabama, because Alabama is a question mark for me. I know that they have very talented young men on their roster. I know Saban, his staff, they recruit. They typically have their players prepared. Of course, we've been spoiled as of late, right? With Tua when healthy, of course, Jalen Hurts developed. More so in Oklahoma than anywhere else, but you could see the poise in Jalen Hurts. Bryce Young most recently. They've had those quarterbacks. Jalen Monroe is a different type of player, a better athlete than quarterback last year. I want to continue to see him progress as a passer. He's still a young player, so certainly understandable. What about the supporting cast on the offensive side of the ball? Of course, you got that offensive line that always has quality football players along that. Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Let's cover it. Wall to wall, both sides of the ball. Let's talk about Bama, and then we'll transition over to Texas.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, that's the question, and the question is the quarterback. I think they named him 2 weeks ago. Who the starting quarterback would beat him was fighting it out. The only guy that actually, I'm not gonna say the only guy. There's two guys that I'm familiar with. Is J.C. Latham, the right tackle, who I like a lot. Who I think is a first-round pick. And then you have Jermaine Burton, who I think he transferred over from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where he came from. Who's a good guy with some quick twitch, can get in and out of his breaks. He didn't really get any run. He got juice. He didn't get any run at Georgia, but nobody did over there in terms of the receiving room because of what they were doing with the tight ends and whatnot. So, and we know that Bama, as far as I know, they haven't changed their system in terms of they may have brought in, from year to year, bringing in different OCs, but it's usually the same concepts. And I think Burton, I think this may be a good opportunity for him to take off, right, and showcase his skill set in the concepts that they run. So,
featured to actually be featured in the passing game.
Yeah. Just can Jalen get the ball to him, right? I know Jalen can throw, but can he be accurate and can he be consistent and can he get through his progressions to make that happen, right? So that's kind of where I lie with the offense for Alabama. So it's a question mark. That's the biggest part of that team is that, because when you look at the running backs,
Jace McClellan.
I hear you.
They got talent. They got talent, but they're not necessarily proven. They're just not necessarily proven.
Right.
Yeah.
Been sitting by some beasts, unfortunately.
That's what happens
when you. Yeah.
That's how I go. Yeah.
But in terms of the defense, obviously you have Dallas Turner, who we've dubbed Power Edge, and we want to see more in the tool shed in terms of his hands and setting up offensive linemen and different moves, spin, chop, whatever, just putting things in succession to win against offensive linemen consistently. We know he can defend the edge. You have Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner on the outside, super feisty, aggressive. He's going to have his hands full. I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to move their corners around. I think they're going to leave them as is and just play what Bama's going to do what they do. So I think he plays the right side, if I'm not mistaken. So, Texas got some weapons. You talked about Worthy earlier. You have my guy Isaiah Nair. You have who else they got over there?
A.D. Mitchell, the Georgia transfer.
Yeah, so they got weapons. They just keep pumping them out over there. And then you got Malachi Moore, who is playing I like to call it the rover, but they call it the star position.
Position.
Yeah, star position. And one thing that this team lacked last year that was boo-boo was that safety position. And right now they have a freshman out there, and they're going to have a grad transfer, Jalen Key, which I'm not sure where he's from. Let me see. Can I see? I can't see it. Oh, it came from UAB. So I'm unfamiliar with him. So, but I'll definitely be watching those safeties.
He's local. So, yeah, that is true. He's a local kid. Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
Gotta keep my eyes peeled.
Yep.
What about you, Ellie?
Man, it's going to be some terrific matchups in this game. Drew mentioned J.C. Latham going against, I like Baron Sorrell, number 88 from Texas. He flashed last season, so, I like to see them go one-on-one. Tavondre Sweat, man, the big D tackle from Texas. He's a bully, man. Alabama interior offensive line, they better be ready because he's going to be throwing them in the backfield. He's a load. He's a load to deal with, man. So, just watching him, you mentioned Jalen Milroy, and Quinn Ayers on the other side. He played in this game last year. He was balling. He got hurt at the end of the first quarter. So, we'll see what he does this season. He got the receivers. Drew mentioned Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, but also the tight end, Jatavian Sanders, the big tight end right there. So just watching the receivers with Mitchell, Worthy, and Sanders going against Kool-Aid McKinstry, Malachi Moore, and Terrion Arnold. That's the other corner. I think he's the one that's going to be getting the work. I think they're going to probably match up Xavier Worthy over there. Like Drew said, they don't move their corners around really.
Right.
So, Arnold and Worthy, man, I'm expecting to see a lot of that matchup unless they move Kool-Aid McKinstry around. Also, Jalen Ford, the linebacker from Texas. He's a guy to watch. He has 5 interceptions in his last 8 games, 3 forced fumbles, 2 forced fumble recoveries last year. So he's very active, man. I know Overshown was said to be the guy last year, but this guy led the team in tackles, and I think he might be a better prospect than Overshown. What he does in the passing game, man, he moves around, he gets his hands on the football, he turns the football over. So watching Jalen Ford and Jace McClellan, the running back for Alabama, go at it. Drew mentioned Dallas Turner. So yeah, it's a lot of prospects all over, Texas. I think all what they said, all the upcoming guys coming into college, everyone put this on their calendar. They're going to be at the game. So it's going to be a recruiting fight right here.
Exactly. A lot of recruiting going on in this particular one right here, man. For sure.
Did you say Jalen Catalon? Did you say him?
I don't know if he played. He didn't.
I don't know.
Did he play last week?
No.
It's health. I'm not sure.
Damn, bro. Can this guy stay healthy?
I didn't really see him last week. I'm not sure if he did or not. I didn't see him in the stat column. I was looking for him, man. Because I wanted to mention him as well because he's a banger. He's like a 6-year senior. It's always hurt.
Knock himself out. Yeah, exactly.
Bro, came from Arkansas.
So, to your point, lots of prospects, intriguing matchups within this one. We'll see how it works. Of course, from a marketing standpoint, they're talking about, this is another one of the Saban coaching tree against him. How well do the coaches that coach under Saban fare against him? And generally speaking, not all that well. Yeah. So we'll see what Sark and company have in store for the Crimson Tide. All right. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for this edition of the Second Half Draft Show. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. Let your folks know if you're looking for that NFL draft content on those Fridays. Oh, by the way, Illinois was playing tonight, and your boys Johnny Newton got a sack early. I just wanted to say that for Drew.
Is Kansas winning right now? I know they was up.
I'm not sure. It's Kansas. I know Kansas was doing them boys, but Newton is a highly touted prospect, and then of course Keith Randolph. Where he at, bro? Where he at? We don't have to look at the
bro. So let me say this, bro. So I was watching the boys versus Toledo. Illinois still out there doing that BS, bro. Two gapping. And out here playing slow. And I'm like, damn, bro, this man ain't got no burst. And I'm watching like it ain't him, bro. You just need to contain and chill.
Round peg, square hole.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So
Jake's on it. Jake is on the line now. Jake got it covered. That's an alum right there. You know what I mean? So appreciate you, J2K. We will see you next week. Everybody else watching, we appreciate you guys hanging out. Don't be afraid to jump in these comment sections, man. I see y'all lurking. Behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Once again, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That, of course, helps us with the algorithm, help us continue to grow on the platform and give you this excellent NFL draft coverage. For Headley, Drew, this is Juice signing off until next week.